Hi, everyone, and welcome to the SALT Employee Benefits Podcast. I'm your host, and my name is Bianca Moyo, the Senior Communications Manager. Yes. We all know that the statistics in South Africa state that only 6% of South Africans are able to retire comfortable. And with the introduction of two-pot system, don't you think it will just make the situation even worse? What is your thought on that?
Thank you very much. So no, actually, we expect it to improve the situation significantly. Let me explain why.
Yeah.
Currently, we have members that want to access the retirement savings, exiting from their employers and withdrawing 100%. So all of the money from their retirement savings, they wipe it out. And what we see is members do this on a 3 to 5 year cycle, depending on the industry and the income bracket that we're talking about. So every couple of years, they're accessing the retirement savings and they're wiping it out. So they're taking everything out of the retirement savings. So basically, they keep restarting the saving cycle every
From
5
zero,
years.
yes.
Absolutely. What two-pot will do is it will lock in at least 2/3 of their savings. So even if they terminate their employment, 2/3 of the money that they've saved will stay invested, whether it is with the current retirement fund, whether they move it to the new retirement fund, they put it in an RA or a preservation fund, whatever they do with the money, it will stay invested. That's the point. So what the government is doing with this legislation is they're safeguarding at least 2/3 of contributions going forward. So for us, so I'm sure you can see how that will help improve the situation, because it means people will not be withdrawing 100% of their benefits and starting from ground zero every 5 to 7 years.
So the messaging here is only access it in case of emergencies.
Absolutely. That's why we say at least 2/3. We're hoping that members will learn that over time those savings grow. So they won't be pulling out the savings pot as often as we initially thought. We're hoping that members will keep that savings pot invested and let it grow over time. But the safeguard is that at least 2/3, which goes to the retirement pot, won't be accessible.
Great. And again, you also mentioned in one of our previous podcasts that these withdrawals are not coming for free. There are costs attached to it, your tax as well as the administration fee. So is it really worth for members to go through that to withdraw money from the savings pot and still have some of the money taken out from that savings pot? Is it really worth doing so?
Look, I think we live in really difficult economic times. Every article you read every third or fifth day says, the financial pressure on households, fuel prices are sky high, home loans are being pushed up by interest rates, etc. So we understand that people are suffering from a financial point of view. That being said, they have at this point in time the ability to make alternate plans. We're young, we can take second jobs, we can be more savvy about our income, that sort of thing. And they can talk to financial advisors who go to some financial education classes to help them with budgeting and saving. A lot of it is this now mentality. We want something, so we want it now. We don't want to save for 3 or 6 months to get that something. And I'm not talking about compulsory purchases. I'm not talking about food or, the food basket or petrol and stuff like that. I'm talking about that additional spend. I always reference handbags because it's a vice I have. So people will use their credit card to buy a handbag today, but they could have saved the money in cash over 3 to 4 months, not incurred the interest on the credit card, and still gotten the handbag at the end of the day. So I think that if we're savvy with, our purchases, we may be able to get away from accessing the savings pot. What's important about accessing the savings pot is, in a previous podcast, we gave an example. We said in the savings pot, the member has 4,000 Rand, but assuming a marginal tax rate of 20% and a withdrawal fee of 200 Rand, which are just examples, already we see that we've eroded 1,000 Rand. So where they had 4,000 Rand in savings, they only have 3,000 Rand in their hand. It's very important. The more money you're withdrawing, the bigger that withdrawal cost is.
Exactly.
And so members really need to apply themselves before they decide to withdraw from the savings pot.
So they are literally borrowing money from their future self. So whatever you take now, it's something that you could have saved if you can. You could have saved for a later stage.
And maybe borrowing is a generous word. They're literally taking money from their future
Absolutely.
selves.
Yeah.
And at a point in the future where they won't be able to work 2 or 3 jobs to make an income, or, be more
True.
savvy with their money, their working years are much, much, much less at that point in time. So they need to make smarter decisions right now about these saving spots.
And I think it's quite fair for members to also look at other alternative ways of saving money if they can, of course.
Absolutely.
And not depend on this two-pot saving as their day-to-day savings withdrawal account.
Yes.
They have alternative. They only tap into the retirement for in cases of emergency, but they must regard this as the money for retirement,
Yes.
not for day-to-day use.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so members that do find that they have a 200 or a 500 that they can put away every month, that money grows over time, and then they set up a little emergency fund for themselves that they can use for rainy day emergencies. But again, that being said, we understand what tight economic conditions we live under. We're dissuading members as much as possible from, accessing the savings pot. So if they can, because it corrodes so much value, they've already given, in the case of the 4,000 Rand example, 25% they've lost in fees and tax.
Great. Well, it's been such a great pleasure having you. Thank you for joining me once again.
Thank you for having me.